Hi there, my name is Lynn Leach. I am the owner of Bird's Foot Design Studio, and I am a horticultural therapist and a landscape designer with a specialty in therapeutic landscapes. So I want to talk to you briefly about the difference between a commercial landscape and what's involved in creating that, as opposed to a therapeutic landscape design. I think what they both have in common is that your first step is going to the site and looking at site challenges, and every site has its challenges, whether it's limited space or whether it's too much space. Maybe it's got water issues, too much water, not enough water. Might have grading issues, maybe it's on a big slope. Maybe you're trying to block out traffic noise or obscure a view that it's less than beautiful. So there's a variety of challenges, and the job of a landscape designer is to basically look at those challenges and creatively come up with ways to solve them. And in doing so, create beautiful space. So I think it's quite an involved process, and it requires some creativity and also some landscaping knowledge. But I think once you get into therapeutic landscape design, you're looking at another whole bunch of considerations. You're looking at providing meaning to the space, creating beauty, but also a space that maybe benefits the people that are using the garden. It becomes very specialized in that you need to understand the needs of the people that are coming to the garden space and know how to solve or provide what those requirements are. So depending on the space that's available to you and the needs of the particular people who are using your garden space, there are a whole variety of features that can be included to make the space more therapeutic. So sometimes it's a way to attract wildlife, and that can be as simple as a bird feeder or a bird bath. Very often a water feature is a wonderful way to attract wildlife, but also provide amazing ambiance to the garden. Plants that are highly sensory. So plants that, maybe grasses that have movement. Plants with extraordinary color and beauty. Plants with wonderful fragrance. These are all things that are really important to include into a therapeutic space and can be easily included. Other features that can be used are meditative spaces. So maybe a labyrinth or meditative garden, a spot where people can relax, enjoy the view, enjoy maybe a space for reflection. And so those are just some of the features that can be included into a beautiful outdoor space. One of the biggest differences between a commercial landscape and a therapeutic landscape is the choices in plant material. And often we're creating a really specialized landscape where the plants have therapeutic value or also offer support to programs. I always try to include things that can offset costs as you run programming. An example would be including a cutting garden or including perennials and plants in the design that a horticultural therapist or a recreation therapist could go out and harvest to use in those programs. Because of that, we're looking at toxicity of plants, making sure that the plants that we use are safe to use in the programs, safe to collect, safe for people to either taste or to create with. Choosing plants that are familiar, that connect people to a place and a time that maybe is in the past, but it starts a conversation for them. And I'm sure many of you off the top of your head can think of some of those plants that do that for you. over the years, I've discovered there are a few top selections. Lilacs seem to be able to bring back memories, even for those who are sight impaired. The smell of a lilac can just bring stories from childhood back sometimes. I think of a young man that I worked with he was from Newfoundland, and he couldn't come up with the name of the lilac bush. He called it the outhouse shrub, and which we thought was hilarious. But he said anytime that they moved as a child, his dad would plant one of these bushes behind the outhouse to disguise the smell. We got such a kick out of that particular story. It's just one great example about how introducing a plant to someone can really bring those memories forward again. Other plants that I think are of great value in that respect: roses, peonies, lilies. But I think part of the fun is exploring, talking to people when you first get to a site, and doing that sort of research, speaking to people and finding out what's important to them. Certainly food plants. Putting a few tomato plants in is really important, I think, to connect people to knowledge, experience. A really critical part of designing a therapeutic outdoor space is making sure that it is interactive for those that use the garden. I want to encourage the feeling of inclusivity, that they are part of the garden experience. And whether that means that there are cherry tomatoes that they can harvest along the pathway, or maybe strawberries that they can pick along the way. Connect them to the process, allow them to watch the garden evolve and the therapeutic space unfold. I think about a project that I was involved with where we developed a beautiful therapeutic space for in a hospice setting, and we had a resident there who was quite excited about the garden space being developed. And on the day that we poured the cement walkways, she was front and center. I think her toes were covered in cement dust at the end of the day. She didn't budge from that chair. They brought her lunch out so that she could watch the process. The company that we had hired, their employees were so lovely with her and teasing. She quite enjoyed watching the young men do their hard work. And it gave great meaning to her day and great excitement. And at a time in life where she had very little excitement and maybe very little to look forward to. So it was a pretty special experience, I think, for everybody involved. And certainly not the way that a normal installation would take place. A therapeutic outdoor space, if it's done well and done thoughtfully, can provide so many benefits to the people who are using it. So in particular in long-term care or in hospice care, it can provide a space to visit with families that feels like they're not within a facility, outside of those four walls, maybe just sitting on a bench, having a normal conversation with friends and family. It can be a space for exercise. It can be a space for relaxation. Therapeutic gardens have the wonderful ability to provide calm or to provide stimulation. And I think in a lot of the spaces I design, if they're large enough, I like to create different areas. So if a resident is feeling like they need a space for reflection and for quiet, providing a spot that's maybe a little nook hidden away in the shade somewhere, where the plantings are quiet, where the feeling is tranquil, maybe next to a water feature. But then also provide areas with high stimulation, bold colors, maybe areas for social interaction, benches sitting next to each other or across from each other, where it invites people to stop and stay and connect with people. I think creating therapeutic space is so vitally important to people of all ages and backgrounds, but specifically for those in long-term care and in hospice care. Whether it be looking out their window onto beauty, seeing birds come to a feeder at the window, if that individual is able to get outside and enjoy that outdoor space, to feel the breeze on their cheek, to listen to bird song, to sit under the shade of a beautiful tree, to maybe sit and enjoy a visit on a bench, looking onto beauty rather than four walls. And I don't even think the space needs to necessarily even be a garden. It can be something as simple as sitting under the shade of a beautiful tree. And I think it has the ability to relax people or to stimulate others, to give a feeling of normalcy to their day, to connect people to important past memories. And I think it's a fairly simple thing to provide to people. I think one of my favorite things about this job is hearing people's stories, listening to how plants impact them, listening to the meaning that they've found in their own gardens and outdoor spaces, and then trying to deliver that experience back to them, providing a beautiful space, but more importantly, providing a space where when they're within it, they feel those memories and respond to the atmosphere that's been provided for them. It's a really special, meaningful thing to provide for people.